tail that we had today. Can actually increase maybe tick size a little bit here so you guys can see it, but that's pretty massive, right? The A period kind of got defended. We were anticipating bounce at the 80 this morning, and you guys know about the 92 level. If you guys recall, we were watching for 92 to be the go long level prior to today, right? We're watching that level to see if we were able to crack that, and of course they had a little gain, and then the CPI data, but then eventually the bulls showed up, and then of course they ran it, and I wouldn't be shocked if they just slowed down yet. So for tomorrow, what you're watching here, does anyone want to take a stab? What's happening, or there's no blow off the market just yet? Everybody on Twitter was a little excited, and I think they learned their lesson. Does anyone want to? How would you play this tomorrow? Don't be shy. Come on, anyone?
Well, you have a late spike on the top, the M session. So
bring it up.
If we are below the spike and are unable to go over it,
yeah, but the spike is only this, right? That's where do we close?
Below.
Yeah, so that's not the spike would have closed right somewhere at the top, and this is not that bad. There's only 2 TPOs here at the top, so I wouldn't consider this to be a spike here. You had the L period, and you had 2 here, so it's I wouldn't call a spike necessarily. If you open here, sure, you can consider it, but it's not something 2 TPOs is borderline, right? So I wouldn't consider that being to be that important for this session. At least not on ES. I'm not sure how IQ looks, right? All right. Does anyone else have any opinions on how you can play this? What's the level that you don't want the Bears to lose tomorrow? Like Bulls levels, what can they not lose tomorrow? Just look at it here.
5201, where the single prints down there.
5251. This one
5201. I think that's right there.
Yeah, that level there would be. I mean, that's a huge level too. I mean, if you go, I mean, there's a level here somewhere that you're watching, right? So if you think about it, this was the D period high for the day, right? You had created value higher, and then you created the value between the B and C here, right? And you had value here. You went below in the G and H period, then what did they do?
Bought it back up.
They bought it back up, right? So as long as they're trading inside here, right? If they go below this 52.38, where can they go next?
To the bottom of their range.
POC.
They most likely visit here, right? So if they go below 52.38, and I don't know where they are at the moment, then most likely you're going to hit 52.29. POC in this case would be probably initiation for taking profits off. I wouldn't necessarily trust it to go heavy long, right? It's just a day's worth of data in one POC, and it's not like it's a lot of volume here. So if shorting here, right, if we see that they can hold price above this, they're most likely going here. The problem really starts if they can't hold these levels here. March developing value area high, and this B and C where they created this value here. In this little range, you see how they tried to build value, they popped above. So now if they can't hold it here, right, then you're expecting them to see, can they hold the value into the next quadrant, which will probably go to 201 here. So are they going to build value here? And then we don't, at 201, you can expect buyers to step in. That's where they showed up this time. So they're fairly aggressive there. So you're watching this 38.75, you're watching this POC, and then losing 21, then you're probably targeting all the way 201 and then 191 to make sure that they're going to defend this critical level that we had. Okay, because this was our settle high, I believe, on the contract for June when we flipped. Does that make sense? You guys on board?
Yep, that seems straightforward.
I'm just gonna move this level a little back.
Yes.
And then if, let's say we open above this 45, does everybody know why the 45 is there?
Access.
Yeah, there's a little bit of an unfair high, right? So if you guys look here, just pay attention here. That's in your M period, right? So you have access in the last period. So what Bean was talking about, well, maybe we have a little bit of access here that went over in them. So it's crucial. If they do open above 45, you're a little bit more bullish, right? But if they open above 46.75, then you have more reasons to believe that they're going to target the next level, which would be the Friday's value area high at 52.52, and then you have 55.70, and then of course you will need to fib it out because you'll be reaching the all-time highs levels, and you don't really have much to look to the left. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Just keep in mind that if they lose this level here, right, the 21, this looks more like what shape then? This consolidation all the way from February 22nd.
Double distribution or
It
B
looks like
shape.
a double distribution. And if they're not being accepted higher here, right? And remember, a lot of a lot of people got bearish on this day here, I believe. They got bearish and they said, man, we're going down. And then what you got is you got reversal. So what do you think can happen right now at the top here?
A rejection or blow off top.
Well, it's just a bracket, right? People don't understand that we're just in a bracket, right? You've been trading in this range for some time. You're building value higher highs and in some cases lower highs and lower lows. So when you look at this, I mean, this is just a nice P-shaped profile today that looks pretty solid, right? With massive access low on the bottom. And a lot of people that, you know, that I saw writing stuff on Twitter, they said the access on this day here was massive. Where's the access here on this day? I mean, this is the access here, guys. It's only like 2 points. Which access is stronger, this one or this one here?
Today's.
Today.
So who's in control? Other time frame buyers or sellers in this bracket?
Buyers.
The buyers are in control right now. And a lot of people bit, you know, they fell for the little fake here. They considered this to be a massive access. It really wasn't. It was just a long liquidation. Somebody liquidated a little bit and boom. There was no follow through. Today they bounced and then they recovered all of it. So now when you think about it, if they can pop over this 52 here, this level, high chance that you can probably, you know, fib this out a little bit. And we can do that right now. And you can set the new targets here. And you're looking at 52.85 for potentially end of this week. And the next one would be is that 53.20. That's what they would be aiming for. So if we clear 52, we're hitting 85 this week. This one 618 probably could be, depends. It's doable this week, right? Because that would be only what 70 points. So we've seen it before, but I think this week this target is doable. End of the week or next week is this, depends how we play out. Do we accept the breakout here or not? And when you look at the weekly profiles, right, and a lot of people were basing their swing positions off of the daily profiles. It's just one profile and you're basically back in the bracket. The weekly, do you guys think it gave them a different story? this day happened in the prior week, right? Look at the value area low, look at the value area high, look at the POC compared to the prior week. Was there anything really that screamed that we were gonna explore lower? You shifted the POC, you shifted the value area low, you shifted value area high, and then you basically closed in a balance. So you're just saying you're happy here, and now you're exploring higher. So now if you're not able to, let's say, hold this previous week value area high, what is this, like 52.34? Well, then, you're starting a little bit of a bear sentiment, because that's telling you you're having another rejection of the extreme highs of the prior week. So you're watching. If you're a swing trader, do not use necessarily daily profiles to set up your swing positions, right? One day, and for you to make a decision for 6 weeks from now is not enough data. And today's profile, for instance, what is this weekly profile telling you compared between this one to this one and then this one to this one? What is the weekly profile telling you?
It looks like a bracket.
It looks like a bracket and it looks like an inside value, right? And look, value area highs lower, POCs where? Lower. Where's the value area low? Compared to prior week, where is it? It's all
Lower.
Lower.
So right now, this is where people get excited for long, but this is where they should be careful. Right? As they're approaching this level, once they lose this 21, and you see they you have this POC, there's a little bit of levels you got to watch out. But once they crack this, I would say previous week, here you're turning your bias is a little bit bearish because you're rejecting previous week extreme. And if they can't do that tomorrow morning, right? If you see the RTH, they go above and they fail, just be careful, like to not get caught, buying too many long positions, especially if you see them entering this space here, because there's not much, right? And you see today, right? There's not much. There's a lot of, there's single prints here between 201 and 91 on the weekly profile. So zoom out a little bit when you do it, and then people, forget that you have monthly profiles, and you can also use that to check, right? I mean, here. Is there any slowdown on the monthlies? Value area high, you had a perfect bounce. Everything's shifting higher. Like there's no reason to be bearish just yet. But a lot of people want to jump and catch the top, and then they get punished, right? So this is your level. I would watch this for real bearish sign tomorrow. If 2022 is lost, you're going to hit this 91. High confidence you can hit 91 and 84. So that's what I would kind of watch in terms of the bear signals, right? Intraday stuff that I covered now, right? The 38 level, you lose this level, high chance you can potentially catch 10 points here all the way to this. But this is difference between expecting a bigger trade, more points versus playing a 10 points reward. That means I can limit, risk 3 points, right? 3 to 1, 9 points or so, whatever your risk reward, model is. But you have to think bigger, smaller picture and who you are as a trader. So don't confuse, like many people on Twitter, daily profiles for swing entries on puts 6 months from now. There was no reason on that day here to enter any puts. Does that make sense for most of you? And I even gave them a fair warning on Twitter, but too late for some. Is everybody understanding what I explained?
Yes.
Don't confuse weekly levels, please, for your intraday positions. If the weekly extremes are cracked, then your sentiment changes, and instead of playing the 10 points, then I'm looking to play, somewhere like this, right? I'm looking to play 30 points. If this cracks, I'm looking to play 10 points, and my rewards and risks are a little tighter. But if this cracks, things open up. So hopefully that, makes sense for all of you guys. Okay. So I think it's probably going to be a little bit of a chop fest, because they're going to, if you're them, what would you try to do tomorrow? if you want to continue running, what would you want to build the value? Where do you want to build value?
Between where we are on 52.20.
You want to stay in this range here, right? You want to stay in this range and you want to be careful, on the quick turnarounds and fake outs tomorrow. Because there's going to be a bunch of them tomorrow, most likely. And then if they crack this 52, you can forget it. They're flying all the way to the top. They're going up all the way here. But look above and fail is also a possibility here. If they come here and you see them, they come and then they lose this, then you're potentially, targeting this. They crack this, then you're going this way. But you have to see some footprints. You have to see some order flow happening here in absorption. Today, they had on ES a couple of good absorptions, and then it looked like, something like here. It looked like a good absorption, and then look at this candle here, massive candle that drives it back up. And if you didn't take profits here, you see what I'm talking about, 38 to 29, what happens? You're out. You get stopped out. Most of you guys will move your trailing stop, and then instead of taking 10 points, the greed kicks in and you're like, man, I want to catch, this is the reversal of a lifetime. This is the top, right? And as an intraday trader and a person that makes a living of trading, unfortunately, you have to take 10 points when you have a day like this. Not the easiest day to trade, but I think the 80 long was pretty good, right? Okay, let's just see where they are. Let's see if they're above 38 or not. Nope, they're right there. Well, they're holding it right now. So they're holding that 38 right now, and look at the look at the volume that they built here. So I think they're going to play overnight in this range here, in the 5 points range. Okay. Any questions on this? Anyone confused?
Shorty, I had a question about the TPOs, especially when you look at weekly and monthly levels. I know for session volume profile, like if we look at weekly, you should put the chart in an hour time frame, and then for monthly is 4-hour time frame. Does the same kind of rule apply for TPOs on those bigger time frames as well?
So it really doesn't, because the volume is not, I mean, time is still time. The volume changes based on tick, right? So I do this one monthly. I typically go 2-3 hours, and you can do the same thing like we do 4 hours, right? Our typical time frame is 4 hours on the monthlies, and you can do the same thing, right?
Okay, except you just don't put it on Aikinashi.
Yeah, I don't do Hakanashi. I just did it on 1 minute because it looked like there was no volume right now, and that's not checked at all. Yeah, but something tells me here that this was if you think about what happened, the events that happened here, you're shifting, making higher high, and you had, this candle here was a really good potential for bears. Does anyone know why it was a good potential? Why was everybody biting for this to be the short of the lifetime? Does anyone know?
Bearish engulfing?
Well, of course, you have a bearish engulfing, but it's also on the outside. Right, when you think about the value area, you went pretty much very close to the, low, and you went higher, but you closed at the low end. So what does that tell you in terms of value? You did not like the value here, and you closed below the prior day value. That's really bearish, right? That means you're going to search for lower, and then look where they came. I mean, they came here and they searched in these couple of days. Look, you see the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days here. So if you just look at this area right here, and this is going to be really bad for a while because the volume on the contract. But now if you look where the value is, value area highs. They came right there, and I mean, that's just, it was a decent bounce from the value. They're expecting it to go higher. So this was a really, really good trap, but there was no access, guys. You remember, how do you measure the three? You know, if you're trying to auction lower, and how are you doing? What are the three components? What's the directional performance? Just do the assessment here. Market's trying to go where on this candle, on this day?
Was higher, but ended up going lower.
It wanted to go higher, but eventually closed lower, right? So how well did it do trying to go higher? Well, not
Not
so
good.
good. But then what about value area? Shouldn't have value area done something else here?
Should have shifted down, but it didn't.
It didn't shift. They're still finding value higher here. And then what about the width of the value?
It's wide.
Pretty wide compared to the prior in the 2 days, right? So they're telling you there's other participants here. But when you think about this big red candle, or in my case, orange candle, and the close here, we did not shift the value lower, even with this giant candle. So when you look at the volume, I mean, look, I know there's a contract switch, so that this gets a little tricky, right? But this is not relatively, like, even looking just blindly without contract switch. You think this candle and volume justify?
No.
There's no way. Right. And then you see the buying picking up, right? New contract buying. So now let's see what tomorrow happens, right? They can't hold that 38, which they seem to be struggling maybe a little bit. If they lose that, there's a high chance you can catch 10 points, but I think they're gonna play this range here tonight, overnight. And then tomorrow, if they can't hold this RTH open, you catch 10 points easy. And then you're watching to see if this fella here that was fairly aggressive on this with the huge giant bullish engulfing candle, can he hold this level? And like I said, I would be careful initiating too many longs, but I would look to close the shorts here. Because what they can do is they can do this, and then you want to see the retest of that. That makes sense. And tomorrow I would rely, especially being, if you can, if I'm not on, I'll be on in the morning, but I can't be the whole day. I'm just not 100% yet. Just share the footprints, because I think tomorrow there'll be a lot of fake outs and a lot of absorptions at the top. And once you see the absorption happening and they're not making higher prices, they might give you a good sign to short. And especially if they lose that level here, if you see that there's aggressive absorption happening, and you see us cracking through this level and we're not reclaiming fast, that means the price is being shifted, the sentiment shifts. They crack this, no reason to close this. Let it go. Let it go to 201. Let it go to 91. Even if you play one MES, I mean, from here to here, you're talking about 46 points. Let it play. Give it room, size down, let it play. Okay. All right, guys. I'm gonna go drink my tea actually, and hopefully this cough just calms down, because I can't handle it. To be honest, it's just hurting.
Thanks, Shorty.
I got
Thanks, Shorty. Hope you feel better.
Thanks, Shorty.
Thanks, Shorty.
Bye-bye.